Jenny from JenniStitchingSimply here on Flosstube and on Instagram. I am so grateful to be back and thank you so much for being here with me. Whether it's your first time watching or you have been subscribed and keep coming back, I truly appreciate it. This is a channel about cross stitch. I don't think I've ever remembered to say that. And today I have primarily cross stitch and a little bit of sewing to show you as well. So I'm super excited. It has been a little bit longer because the end of July, when we were supposed to be going away on our trip, I ended up getting sick. And long story short, when your doctor tells you in January to get blood work done, do not wait until the end of July. So we figured out what was wrong and everything will be fine. It's something that has been a lifelong issue, but that really messed up the ends of July, beginning of August for me, trying to get all that sorted out. So I'm happy to say that I still have things accomplished because of the rotation that I was trying out for the month of July, which I feel was very successful, and I'll tell you why more about that. But I'm going to start with the one piece that I finished in July, and I didn't expect to finish anything with trying the rotation and starting new projects, which I don't normally start a whole, well, it wasn't a whole bunch, relatively speaking, but it was a lot of projects for me. So the one that I finished is the Santa that is a kit from Shepherd's Bush that I picked up last summer on vacation when we were visiting my family. And this used all of the kit materials. And it is on, I love the color of the linen. It is an old Weeks, which I don't mind at all typically. Doing the back stitching of the words was really difficult. And I really didn't like how the stitches looked. And I looked at the photograph, you know, of the sample, and I thought, okay, well, that it looks like that too. So it's fine. But it's just such a, you know, I mean, I think because there's not a lot of body to the fabric, trying to do the back stitches and the words just didn't hold up well. And I guess now that I'm saying it out loud, if I had put it in a hoop, maybe that would have helped. But I was doing it in hand. It says, "and we shall have snow," but it's a little hard to read. But I think he's absolutely adorable. And this is one where usually when I'm like 3/4 of the way finished with a project, I have some idea of how I want to fully finish it. I really haven't figured this one out yet. So I thought rather than force it, I will just wait until I actually have the right something for it. But you know, I normally like to finish stitching it, get it fully finished, and then be able to use it. But it's for Christmas or winter, so I won't actually be using it for a little bit anyway. So that was the one that I was working on Wednesdays. And in the last video, I had finished my ornament for July because I'm trying to do one ornament a month. And I was going to use the weekends to do other ornaments, and that I realized just became unrealistic. I used the weekends to finish this in particular because I thought this is the closest to a finish, and a lot of the other things I worked on are for gifts, and I knew I would get those done in time to give them because they're gifts. So that's incentive enough. So I'll go in order of the days now, just to make it easier for myself. I worked on Mondays, the Jean Farish Hearts Come Home for Christmas, at Christmas, sorry, I always say it wrong. And this is the one that if you go to her YouTube channel, there is a complete stitch along video tutorial for the entire chart. This one I enjoyed working on so much, and it's not as much completed, I think, as I would have done if I was just doing it on my own, but learning just the little nuanced things that Jean was teaching was so worth just kind of slowing down and doing it with the videos. So I think I'm on, or just finished the 4th video, but they're about an hour long. So that definitely slowed down the process. Sorry, the dog is sitting next to me on the chair and she's scratching on the chair, but you guys are probably used to that by now if you've watched more than one video. She's always good and like playing contently until I go to film. So I'm using the called for Cosmo. And for this one, I did get the actual called for colors because I wanted to try the Cosmo. There's obviously way more thread here than I would need for this project, so I'll just substitute it in other projects. But I love stitching along to the videos. So it's not something that I can like take with me as a travel piece or anything like that, because I really want to work through all the videos and stitch it with Jean. So it's actually kind of nice too, because she even like counts, you know, and it's like you don't even have to count the chart because she's just telling you go 15 stitches in this direction, or so it's a lot of fun. And then Tuesdays in July, I worked on my Blackbird Designs Mother's Garden that I'm doing for my mom for Christmas. And I also worked on this one the first weekend in August, since that was Blackbird weekend. And so that's as wide as it will be. And then I've made it down to there. So it's a pretty, everything's a little bit washed out today, but I really like the colors. They're just over dyes that I had from something I don't even remember that I put together for this project. And I've gone through all the colors in other videos, so I won't name them all, but it's just a really pretty kind of pastel palette. Oh, I forgot to bring it over. I have the Blackbird fabric too that I want to use when I fully finish this one. But I feel like I made good progress. This one is on 32 count R&R American Chestnut, and I am only doing 1/2. I think the design lends itself to that coverage really well, even though I normally like the heavier coverage. So I think that's another reason that this one is going a lot more quickly, because the one strands over the lower count fabric is making it really easy also. So that's been a lot of fun to work on. And I didn't mention on the Jean Farish piece, I'm using 30 count Mariner's Map by Legacy, which I really, really like. I really like Legacy fabric. And then, so Wednesday was the Snowman, and then Thursday, I was continuing to work on the Jan Hicks, sorry, it just completely escaped me, Ode to a Peacock, and this is for my brother Brent and his wife Preeti. And it doesn't look a whole lot different, but I worked down to the end. This is pretty much the end of the feathers, and this really like takes a lot of concentration for me. And it's probably one of those things where if we're a little off, no one would ever know, but I would know and it would bother me. So I made it down to the bottom. I will definitely get it done, Brenty. I'm very excited about it. And I love stitching on it. I'm using the called for DMC. It's also charted in Mrs. Sada's silks. It's on 40 count weeks gray. And yeah, I love stitching with DMC. I really prefer stitching with DMC. So this one has been a lot of fun also. And then on Fridays, I was working on First Snowfall by Stacy Nash. I think that's the first time I've ever said it correctly, the first try. And this is also for my mom. And I was using this teeny tiny scrap, and the good news is it is going to fit. So everything's a little bit like washed out today, but I got a really good amount done. I have to obviously fill in the house and then finish the border, and I think everything else is done. So I'm really close on this one. I wish I could, well, you get the idea. Everything's a little deeper than what's showing, but this one is 40 count weeks gray, and I did use the called for over dye because I knew that my mom really loved this chart, and I really don't have like reds or pinks necessarily. I usually, if I'm subbing things out, it's like to blues and things like that. So I am using the called for colors, and they're really pretty. I love the Merlot and the red pear. Sorry, that was super loud. Sorry, we had to take a time out while Kitty the dog barked at the mailman until he went all the way around the cul-de-sac, and then she could calm down again. So that was everything that I stitched in July since I made the last video. I think it went amazingly well. Every day I just knew what I was working on, and I had no intention of any of those things being finished by the end of the month. You know, I just picked it up, worked on it for as much time as I had that day. And then when I got so sick, I kind of missed that last week of July, which I knew, well, originally I was supposed to be out of town. So, you know, I knew that was, and we were going to be hiking, so I wasn't really going to be like stitching. And then after I lost my, I didn't really plan anything for August. And then I realized how much having that schedule helped me, because I felt completely lost. I didn't know what to pick up. I just felt so overwhelmed. I didn't know like if I should work on something that was close to a finish or start on something I just hadn't touched in a while. You know, I wasn't feeling good, so that didn't really help either. But normally I would have my ornament done pretty early in the month, just because I've made it all the way to August, and I really want to stick with this. I haven't even started it. But what I'm going to do before the month of August ends is stitch A Peaceful Gathering, and this is by Scarlet House. And I think that will be really pretty with the ornament that I showed in the last video with the leaping stag. And I do want to do a quick video on how to make those like wool leaves, because it's super easy. And I think there's like a lot of things that you could use it for. So I will finish this by the end of the month. And the only thing I really picked up to work on was my cross stitch camp project. And I had chosen Annie B's Folk Art Sunflower Row, which I think is absolutely adorable. And Roman, my son, who's almost 17 and a junior now, which is hard to believe, he thought this was a really cool chart. So I also liked it because we have so many, I don't know if it matters if this is a house or a barn, but we have so many barns around us that really do have the painted stars and things on them. And I think that's one of the really cool things about Sherry's cross stitch camp is this month it was to stitch something from a designer, or use something you had never used or done before, like a new designer, new threads, new fabric, something like that. So I was looking at Annie's Etsy shop, and there is a chart, if I have time I'll put it in here above me, that she has that I had never seen before. It looks like it's a big piece, and it's all different houses and barns in this style, and it is so gorgeous. And I think I'm so drawn to it because, again, it looks like where I grew up in Lancaster, and then also here in Berks County. So I'm really interested in that one too. And that's, the fun of trying a new designer or something like that. I also saw that she has an expo release that has a snowman that is so cute. And expo is another thing, it just completely overwhelms me. Like seeing all the new things on Instagram, I just have to, I can't, there's just so many beautiful things. My brother, Brent, sent me a picture and said, "Have you seen this yet? I love it." And it was probably, besides the Annie B's Snowman, like the other one that I would put on my list of things that I really wanted to do was the Kathy Barrick, the one with like the big moth that you've probably all seen. And it was just so funny because I was like, yes, Brent, that's exactly the one that I would have picked too. So he's currently knitting a scarf for me that is he got the Gracious Love chart from Modern Folk Embroidery, and he's stitching the scarf with the bands, the cross stitches, like that pattern, but in a scarf. It's incredible. I don't even, I can't even comprehend how you do that with knitting, but it's amazing. So this is where I'm at. So I feel like I just feel so slow, and that's okay. It's not a race. I mean, I love working on this. I'm actually doing it on 32 count raw swag art because I wanted to have plumper, bigger stitches on this one. And I feel like normally I would have cranked this out in a weekend or something, but that hasn't been the case lately. And that's totally fine. And I love it. I think it's so cute. These are really nice. These are called elongated layered crosses. So there's 4 regular cross stitches, not next to each other, but like one space apart, and then an elongated cross stitch over the 4, if that makes sense. But I like that because sometimes when there's a little, like the little outlying decorative stitches, they almost don't show up. And at least me, I feel like why am I even stitching this? Like I can't even see it. But I feel like you actually can see them, and it gives it a really neat texture. And what I did was I have a small, not a very small collection of overdyed flosses that I don't even know why I have them. I honestly think that when I got really back into stitching during the pandemic, like a lot of us did, there were a couple projects that I wanted to do, and at the time, a lot of things were out of stock, and so being inexperienced, like I just didn't know. I think I was like ordering a couple things here and there that I needed, but never got everything. And so in the end, I just have kind of some random overdyed flosses. So I just pulled colors that look like they would be on Sunflower Row to me. And then I'm just using the front cover, to say, okay, well, this is darker than this or whatever, and just making it work. And normally I really don't care if things are variegated, but in this one, I love how the house looks with the variegation. So I'm really happy with this one. And I think the other thing that's, I haven't been getting as much stitching done because my stitching time is typically in the evening, like I mentioned before. And I've also been trying to go to bed at a normal time again. I think that I have so much fun stitching that for the past couple years, I've been staying up way too late. And I've always been someone that goes to bed relatively early and then gets up really early. And I think when I started to not feel well, I realized that there were a lot of things like that as much as I love to cross stitch, I think I need sleep too. So just to try to get myself back to like a normal, healthy, functioning place, I realize I feel 1,000 times better, but I don't have as much stitching done. So before I forget too, this window behind me, I'm so excited. My husband works for one of like the big healthcare, I don't know, I'm sure it's the same in most places where, one healthcare system bought out like all the individual ones in the county. And so one of the buildings, which was beautiful and old, they're leaving, and that office is going into a different, I don't know, newer one or whatever. But when they were clearing everything out, they thought that my husband would appreciate these windows, and I was so excited. So he just brought them home last night. There's 2 of them, and I want to hang them on either side. This is actually a really long piece that my husband built, this wooden thing behind me. So we're gonna hang them kind of like one on either side of that furniture piece, and I'm so excited. It has like the wavy antique glass in it. The other side of it was painted white, but we like the wooden side. So I'm really excited about that. And actually the ledges on them are kind of deep enough to put like little smalls in or something. So that would be fun. And then that also reminds me, Messy Mia had asked about, on the last video, I was sitting in the dining room, and behind me I had that wooden printer's tray. I don't know if that's really what it is, but I think, it's like you see them at the antique store, and I have a piece of cross stitch mounted to it. And she asked how I mount things like that to the antiques or whatever. So I actually, to answer your question, I'm a big fan of the, command, like, I don't think this is command brand, but it's like that idea. So they make the the really flat kind of like plastic strips. And then they also make the type that has like the foam. And I use this for everything. Like down our hallway, we have the embarrassing mom hallway where I have like the pictures of the kids at every age. And I used this to hang it because I'm the one that does all the like interior painting in the house. So it's not like I couldn't put nails in the wall, but you know, I just did all that work to paint. So anyway, my point is, I have found, and I don't want to ruin anybody's finishing pieces or anything, but with this double-sided command foam type tape, if you put it on something like that painter's tray, I've even put it on like the top of a shaker box, it will stay, at least in Pennsylvania, like with our temperatures and humidity and everything, it will stay attached. However, if you want to remove it, the trick that I have found is if you take a butter knife and, you know, don't try to like peel it off, like just take the butter knife and use it like a, you know, fulcrum and just kind of like pop the piece off, it will just come right off. But it will stay. I mean, that thing's been on the wall, and you know that things are not, like the other piece, Roman knocked off the wall, broke the mirror, but stitching was fine. You know, I had to put the stitching in with this. The stitching never came off, but the mirror broke. Someday I'll get around to fixing that. But, you know, it's not like we're like super careful at our house. Like as soon as I'm done recording, that window's definitely coming off the ledge because it's not actually secured to anything. But yes, so I'm sorry. I hope that answers your question. And I feel so bad. I didn't get to answer or respond to any comments from the last video. And like, this is how my brain works. I may have even, I mean, it's like in my head, I worry, well, if I start commenting and then I don't have enough time and then I don't finish, and then some have responses and some don't, then it looks like I don't care about all the, you know, it's like just this ongoing cycle. But if you've watched for a while now, you know how I am. But that is everything that I stitched on. But I have been doing a lot of sewing. So I'm gonna grab those things and I will show you what I have been up to. If you have watched my videos before, you've probably heard me talk about my friend Eileen because she's amazing. And whenever I go to visit Eileen, I always leave inspired. She has just like a cross-stitch store model type of, I mean, she has stitched everything. And so I leave feeling like, oh, I just want to stitch everything. And I want to be a better mom and I want to be a better wife, and you know, because she's just that kind of person. So, because she's, you know, she's awesome. And I always feel like, oh, you know, I want to be just like Eileen. So the last time I was there, she was quilting. Oh boy. I don't think Eileen even realizes yet what she did to me. So she gave me a really nice variety of Lori Holt. Sorry, kitty's scratching again. Fabrics. And as I've mentioned before, I typically don't, I don't have a stash of fabric. If I have something I want to make, I'll go to the store, get what I need for the project. So I had this like variety that I had never really played with before. And so the first thing I thought was, okay, well, I want to make a bag for Eileen, you know, to thank her. And I was making it patchwork and cutting out the squares and playing with the fabric. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. All I want to do is cut out squares and arrange them in, you know, varying compositions here. So I thought, well, I can't just like keep cutting out squares like indefinitely. I need to do something. So, or if you just need a bunch of squares cut out, just email me, because I just like cutting out squares. My husband was like, you know, they have that thing where you just like put it through and it just, I'm like, I like the rotary cutter. I don't want to cut out other shapes, just squares. So I made the bag for Eileen, and I had a lot of fun doing that, just playing with the different fabrics, because that was different for me. I know that probably sounds like really strange, but that was a different experience for me, and it really was very creatively inspiring for me to just kind of like mess around with the fabrics. So then I made, this is, Eileen, this is for you. This piece Eileen stitched, and one of the times when I was over, she came across it and said, oh, I stitched this on the wrong fabric. If you want to do something with it, like just take it. And of course I thought, well, yeah, I'll make it into something and then just give it back to you. That's what I was thinking in my head. But I just hadn't figured out yet what to do with it. So I made another version of a bag. So it's patchwork on the back, like bigger patches, and then I just tried to, you know, come up with a composition that would highlight what she had stitched. And then this is like a flange here. So I made that for Eileen, and then I was like, oh, that was really fun. I like that. And then the irony is not lost on me that, let me just say this first, that I use, oh, I didn't bring it over. I'll grab in a second. You know, my project bags are like those eco bags. They're basically just like a plain cotton fabric. Like that's what I use for project bags. And I have a few that I've made with fabric that my mom's gotten me, but I don't have every project in a project bag. Or I like take one project bag and I just like put 5 things in there. Like all my Blackbird stuff is just in one project bag. And if you've watched for a while, you know that when I was trying to learn how to do like half square triangles and things, I did make those into project bags because I was, you know, practicing. So I didn't really want to stop cutting up squares and like playing with the fabric. So I just kept making project bags. And I started, I think, like this has the larger, these were 3-inch squares to start. And this is all Lori Holt fabric. But I made it the way that like, I kind of like, so this has about it's like a 1-inch, it has like the boxed bottom. Because if I have like a big hunk of floss, then, you know, I like if there's some room for it to accommodate that. And then the lining, it does have print, but it's just snow Kona, because I always line all my bags with just something like cream or white, because I feel like I can see really easily what it is. And also I just always worry that like if I get like a red fabric or something and then I spill in the bag, which again, we've all seen, I've definitely spilled coffee on projects before. So anyway, those were my design decisions based on what I like. And then I just kept going. Then I did the smaller 2.5-inch squares, you know, but again, with the, I don't know, I call them like a boxed seam. And I did the zipper tabs, but I'm debating about the zipper tabs because it kind of, I mean, it does cut down the size slightly, you know, of the opening. And then I went to a very magical place. And for anybody that's a quilter, you may already be well aware of Gail Kessler, who is a amazing designer. She has a line of fabrics for Andover. She's one of the nicest people I've ever met, and she has a quilt shop that is 10 minutes away from our house. And I would pass it, like if I was taking the boys snowboarding or something. But again, I don't really like go to the store to see what fabric's new. This past weekend, Steve, my husband, said, you know, can I use your sewing machine? And although I was planning on using my sewing machine, I thought, you know what, it's okay. You can use it. And I think I'm going to actually run over to the quilt shop. And Roman and Steve were like, that's awesome. You should totally do that. And yeah, now my life is forever changed. It was so much fun. And again, if you're a quilter, like it's probably like me with Shepherd's Bush, where I'm like, when I'm out west, like I have to go to Shepherd's Bush. If anybody needs to go to Gail Kessler's quilt shop, Lady Fingers Sewing Center, I live 10 minutes away. So you can always stay at our house, because it would take it's like me at Shepherd's Bush. I mean, I just could not even believe what was happening to me. Like, there was so much fabric, and it was a lot of things that I had never seen before, like Australian artists and just unbelievable things. And then, you know, the finished quilts everywhere, and Gail and her partner Bill were just so much fun, so welcoming, and I just had such a good time. I had such a good time, in fact, that I came home and then got Steve to bring him back so that he could meet Bill and Gail, because it was so much fun. So yeah, they couldn't get over that I live 10 minutes away, and they have people coming on like bus trips from all over the place, and that I had never like gotten myself over there. They're also really into biking, which was fun too, because that's what our family's really into. So we had a lovely time. And it's taking everything I have not to just like go there every day just to hang out with them. Because I can't go there every day and buy fabric. But since I've been doing like the little patchwork squares, you know, they obviously like most stores, you know, they have the orphan fat quarters and the fat eighths and things like that. So I did pick up a few things. So, you know, I don't really stitch Halloween or decorate for Halloween, but this ghosty fabric I just thought was the cutest thing ever. So then what does one do with all these project bags when you don't actually really use project bags? I opened a second Etsy shop to put the project bags in. So I still have the, you know, my Etsy shop, because I've been involved in jewelry in some way for the past 23 years, and I have no intention of stopping anytime soon. And what's really fun about that is being involved in people's, I think because jewelry is so personal, that often, you know, I'm working with people when it's a wedding or a special event, and they, you know, we're doing personalized things, or we're doing quantities of things, or it's for, you know, just special occasions in people's lives, or struggles that people are having. And, you know, they're telling me about their friend that they're getting the gift for, and it's just, you know, it's just nice to be able to provide somebody with something like that when they need something sentimental. So anyway, that's not going anywhere. But yeah, so now there's project bags. And again, like I said, I know it's ironic, but really I just want to cut up little squares and sew them together in patterns. Oh, this is the other thing that's a little nuts. So they're actually patchwork on both sides. And would it make more sense to just use a solid fabric on the back? Yes. But what I enjoy about it is actually doing the patchwork. So, and they're not all the same size because I feel like like this, I wanted to get, you know, more of the ghost. So this is like 4 inches on the top. Whereas, for example, this one is only 3 inches and it's, you know, front and back patchwork. So if anybody's interested, the way that I'm making these or approaching this is I feel like I'm making them for a friend, and they're all different based on, to me, what the fabric kind of dictates, and they're not I'm just making them once, you know, it's just something that I really enjoy doing, and I'm just doing it once, and that's the extent of it. When I make them, I put them in the store, and it's as simple as that. So the store is the same as my YouTube channel name and my Instagram name. I figured that would make it simple. I'll put the link below, but if you're at all interested, if you favorite the shop, then you'll get the notification if you get notifications if I list new things. But I also thought it would be nice to have that second shop, because right now I have needle minders and then like the sterling and semi-precious scissor fobs in my jewelry Etsy shop. So it's a little bit of a mess right now, but it's like I always tell the boys, like, you kind of have to make a mess before you can like get everything sorted out. So those things eventually will just get moved into the new shop, like the second shop. And even that, I realized, like, I don't even use needle minders, but they're fun to make. And I know other people, you know, like really use them. So I think it'll be good for things like that where I enjoy making them, and now there's a place to put them. So this was another style that I had. There's tissue paper in there because I like when things hold their shape, but it's like a bigger bottom. This fits. I don't know if I'll, the other ones sold. I don't know how popular this size would be because you can't fit a full size chart in it. Half size, no problem, but full size is too small. But for me, this is like, you know, crochet. It would be perfect for English paper piecing. But like, you know, again, this is like the flange has all the buttons stitched on. So clearly this is an act of love, not necessarily like trying to efficiently make project bags. It's just something that I really, really found myself enjoying. So between the quilt shop, and we may or may not have gotten a new sewing machine because now Steve's really into sewing, and so I guess I have less stitching done, but I've also been doing a lot of sewing too. But I have to do it during the day because then when Steve comes home from work, then he uses the sewing machine. So it's been a lot of fun. That has been a lot of fun. So I'm gonna I have to do the giveaway, and I have a new giveaway. So I'll be right back with those things. So I grabbed, this is what I use for project bags for my projects, but I really like making project bags. So This actually has Dutch Beauty in it. And this is something that I think I want to, I only have a page done, but I really want to work on this too. So I'm thinking for September, I don't know, I probably shouldn't even like say anything out loud because who knows what will happen, but I think I want to work on Dutch Beauty and Consider the Lilies because I didn't work on those in July at all. And I had, well, okay, so first I wanted to give this bag, I didn't press it yet, but this bag away as the giveaway today. So this one's a little bit larger. It has the 2 different size patches. And this is one of the first ones that I made, and I did do the full lining. It is, I don't know if you can see, it's all gardening. It's so cute. I found this when we were in Utah in one of the quilt shops. I did not think to measure it, but it's definitely a nice, it's a larger size, and this one has a little bit even wider bottom to it. So, but here's my huge favor. Normal things apply, like B18, so I can get your mailing address. I'm gonna say for this one, just US only, just because of shipping cost. Use the word project bag, but if you could do me a huge, huge, huge favor and tell me something that you look for in a project bag, or like what I'm getting at is, like, for me, I like the top zip. I mean, I don't have anything against the zip that is here, but does everybody prefer the zip that's here, like on the front? Or like, is the lining fabric being cute, like super, super important to you? Regardless of, you know, like the color of it, or, you know, I mean, you know what I mean, as far as like if it's a dark color or something like that. So if you could leave me some kind of feedback about a project bag when you make the comment, because regardless, I'm going to keep cutting up squares and then making them into something like project bags. I'm not ready for a quilt yet. Like, I'm not used to dealing with large scale things. You know, pretty much everything in my adult life that I work with is like teeny tiny jewelry and stones and tools and cross stitch and, you know, like 2.5-inch squares. That's good for me right now. I'm sure, knowing Gail now and the classes and all the things over at the quilt shop, I am sure that actual quilts are in my very near future, but I'm not quite there. So tell me something about a project bag that you know, that you look for, that you like. And then last time we had Farmyard Parade as the giveaway, which was, again, very generously donated by my friend Eileen. Brand new charts, super cute, and I did the random YouTube comment picker, and this is going to Arlene Curry. So Arlene, if you will send me your info, I will get this right out to you. And everything has been mailed now, so hopefully everybody has received, anybody that's gotten in touch with me, it's been sent out, we're all caught up. And the only other thing I wanted to show, I don't have any haul or anything, but I showed you guys this last time, but this blue flower here, this was another Shepherd's Bush kit, and I loved this blue silk. And normally, like sometimes they have the color names and sometimes they don't. I was like 99.9% sure it was a Gloriana silk, but I and it had a color name, but I couldn't find that color name in like any silk. And so my brother went to Shepherd's Bush and said, you know, do you need anything? Which is what they always ask me. And I'm like, yeah, like one of everything in the store, if you know, being honest. But I said, actually, I do. Can you, I was going to email them, but I figured it would be easier if Brent just did it while he was there. So he tracked down, we figured out the mystery. I think in the chart it was called Everblue, but it's a Gloriana silk called Evergreen, and it's still in the cute packaging from Shepherd's Bush, because like they just make everything so cute. But this is the prettiest color. Like if you like those blue into kind of like soft green teal colors, it was the prettiest color, and I'm so happy that the mystery has been solved. So the color is it's evergreen, but it's really more of a blue in my opinion. And so Brent picked up that for me, and then he wove, I know that these are supposed to be cut off, but I just think they're really pretty. So he wove me this beautiful, he said I could just use it as fabric, but I kind of just want to use it as like a shawl or a wrap. So he wove this for me, and I think it's so beautiful. And yes, I know they're supposed to be cut off, but I think I'm going to just try to figure out something to do with them. So thank you, Brenty. And that is, I think that is everything. So remember to leave a comment if you want to be entered. And again, I can't even express how grateful I am that I get to talk to you guys about my stitching, and I love hearing about what you're working on, and I appreciate when you email questions or anything like that that I can help with. It really means a lot, and I will be back as soon as possible, and I will also do that tutorial on how I finished the ornament from last time. And I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their summer, and I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.